Okay, I was so blown away by what was said at the ceremony that, can I just say I'm speechless and call it good? No? Oh, God. Darn it. Okay. Okay, aloha, everyone. I just want to thank everyone for being here. It's really this special day, and we're celebrating Carolyn and Cody. And from the bottom of my heart, I just want to thank you for joining in on this celebration. So for my daughter Coral's wedding, I told a story, so I think it's appropriate I do the same for Cody. This is a true story to the best of my recollection, but that's not so good anymore. As many of, or most of you know now, that Cody was born and raised in Tokyo until the 6th grade. And as such, he and his sister saw America as a place you went for summer vacation to visit family and friends and go to summer camp and go into the grocery store and try to decide what cereal to pick out because in Tokyo there was hardly any choices. So after 8 years of me working in an international school in Japan, I received a year's sabbatical, and Fran and I decided to go to graduate school in our home state of Oregon. And when I got there, we packed up and we all headed out to Corvallis. We went to Oregon State in Corvallis. And when we got there, we settled in, and we thought this would be a great opportunity for our kids to learn about some American history and some American culture. And we thought that a good way to start would be with the indigenous people of the Northwest. So we decided to take a trip to the Warm Springs Reservation, and we packed up the car, a bunch of food, a bunch of drink, and we headed about a 3-hour drive over the Cascades and up to the high desert area in north central Oregon. And then as we got there, they have this wonderful, fantastic Native American museum. And so we got out and went in, and Cody just loved it. He loved all the artifacts. He loved the bows and arrows and how to make arrowheads and the beadwork. And he loved the displays of the teepee and the wickiups and learning about the Wasco and the Paiute and the Chinook tribes. And I think that might have been when he first got an interest in indigenous cultures. So we came out, and it was, we spent over 2 hours there, and we came out and to have lunch, and we found this grassy area with these picnic tables, and we ate lunch. And then my daughter Coral went and sat down on the grass and started picking through the clovers. And Cody came over and asked what she was doing. He says, well, I'm looking for a 4-leaf clover. And she explained about the Irish and the good luck and all that. And Cody thought that was a good idea, so he got in there and started searching for his own 4-leaf clover. Well, about 15, 20 minutes later, Coral jumped up and said, I found one, I found one, I found one. And we all rushed over, and by gosh, she had a 4-leaf clover in her hand. And Cody, in his sweet little preschool voice, came up to her and said, can I have it? And Coral, being the loving middle school older sister, turned to him and said, find your own. So Cody went looking for 4-leaf clover, and it was really hot in the 90s. And it was getting later and later, and he was more frustrated, so Fran and I jumped in, helping him look for it. And we tried to convince him that the little indentions on the leaf was really a 4-leaf clover, and he didn't buy that. I took two clovers and pulled 3 leaves off and put the stems together, and he said, no, that doesn't work. So anyway, we were so hot and sweaty, and Coral had this mantra going on. I have a 4-leaf clover. I'm going to have good luck forever. I'm going to have good luck forever. I'm going to have good luck forever. Well, that just enticed Cody more to look. So finally, we said we had to go, and we packed up all our stuff. And Cody saw what was happening and totally freaked out, completely. He was about 4 then, and so he just had a complete meltdown. Said, no, I'm wanting 4-leaf clover. No, no, no. And we said, we have to go. And we're hot and sweaty and irritable. And so he's throwing a complete fit. Well, we finally get him out up to the curb. Fran had coaxed him there. And then he decides to make a last stand. And he stands on the curb because after that's the parking lot. And says, no, I'm not going any further. I'm not. I want a 4-leaf clover. I want it. I want it. I want it. And so I say, well, you all wait here. I'll get the car and I'll bring it around to the front. So I get the car and I drive up to the front and get out. By this time, Fran's got tears in her eyes. She gets up in the passenger seat. I slide open the sliding door and I say, get in, Coral, and she happily goes in sing-songing, I have good luck forever, I have good luck forever. And Cody's wailing away, and people are looking at us. And so then I come around to face him. And what you have to understand is that for the past 8 years, I'd been the head of this elite early childhood program at this international school. And part of my job was to teach the expat moms and dads about parenting skills. So I had talked to them about natural and logical consequences, and being fair but firm, and about stressing the positive and speaking in a matter-of-fact, calm voice. So I looked at Cody and I said, if you don't get in this car right now, I'm driving away. And Cody looks right back at me and says, I'm not going. I want a 4-leaf clover. So I slam the door, march around to the driver's side, get in the car, and slowly drive about 100 feet ahead. Cody totally freaks out. So if you have any abandonment issues, it's on me, man. You can send me the therapy bills. So anyway, he gets in, he's not happy. We're trying to placate him with, we'll get you good luck fortune cookies. We'll give you a horseshoe. We'll give you a rabbit's foot, but none of it seemed to work. So by now you may be wondering what this story has to do with this wedding. Well, for the past over 25 years, Cody has been looking for his own 4-leaf clover. And I'm happy to report today he found it. And her name is Carolyn. So, I'm almost done. So I know these two are going to have good luck because besides the string ceremony they did, there's many reasons for them to have good luck for the rest of their lives. And I'd like to just share a few. First, they're lucky that they're even together because even going to school for 4 years and having mutual friends, they never really connected. In fact, Cody left after graduation and Carolyn stayed there to work. Cody went away and worked in Oregon and then went traveling for almost 2 years before you came back, a little less than 2 years. And but he is so lucky he made that decision to go back and look for work in DC, because look what he got. Okay. It's really lucky after they got together that they found out they have many of the same passions. They share adventurous spirits. They have deep commitments to family and friends. They are dedicated to succeeding in their careers, and they believe in justice and doing what's right. They're also very lucky because they have this perfect mix of Cody's devil-may-care daring do and Carolyn's Midwest common sense. So as parents, we can rest assured that as they're rappelling down waterfalls, they'll at least have all the proper safety equipment. They're also lucky, well, at least Cody is, because when he and Scott get together with all the makings for gin and tonics, they have managed not to get into trouble with the authorities. And that includes the police and their wives. So I hope you keep that going. And of course, they're lucky to have the best dressed wedding dog in all of California. But most importantly, they are lucky to have all of you. 2 loving, supportive families, fantastic, fun-loving, dedicated friends, a worldly, eloquent, wise officiant in Jim, and last but not least, a slightly lazy but devoted Baloo. So I would like to make a toast now. This is to 4-leaf clovers and good luck forever for Cody and Carolyn. Mahalo.
Give it up for Richard one more time, everybody. And now for the next toast, can I please have the maid of honor, Catherine Wright, please come up.
Hi, everyone. I'd like to thank my parents for planning and, of course, Cody and Carolyn for planning this incredible event and ceremony and reception, and everyone of you for coming. So, when I think of Carolyn, I think of sunshine. Carolyn herself is warmth personified, and like the sun, good things come about when she's around. Not to mention, the first thing that people always say about Carolyn is that she's an 875,000-mile across sphere of burning hot hydrogen gas. No, I'm still working on this metaphor. It's more like this. Carolyn is like the ray of sunshine that floods your face in warm light on a miraculous April day after a long Minnesota winter. She is also a princess. It's how I always pictured her on this day. Carolyn spent every plane ride from our preteen through teen years poring over bridal magazines, plotting and dreaming her future wedding. I didn't know which of the details that Carolyn dreamed up she would end up choosing for today. I couldn't wait to see what dress she'd choose, what location she'd find, who the guy sitting next to her would be. But I always knew that today Carolyn would look like a princess. And she is one. She always has been. And not in the negative connotation that word can have, or even in a basic Disney princess kind of way. She was more like the Princess Diaries 2, a royal engagement kind of princess. Making important decisions, surrounding herself with strong female role models, and having dope sleepover parties. She spent her childhood poring over maps and studying ancient Egypt, traveling with our family all over the world, and otherwise being the friendliest person I'd ever met. She is a leader and a diplomat, and she looks the part. She is the cool, relatable princess who loves to bake cookies and talk about international politics and literature over cookies. My third analogy for Carolyn, and hear me out on this one, Carolyn is a character on an animated television show. Not only do I identify Carolyn with the unbridled optimism and passion for coziness and wine of Linda Belcher from Bob's Burgers, her Halloween costume this year, but Carolyn has also always reminded me most of my favorite character on my favorite talking animal Netflix cartoon. Much like this fictional Hollywood agent, Carolyn is mastering, prioritizing, always having her shit together before anyone else even has time to blink. She's the person that everyone goes to when they've made a mess because she always knows what to do and because she takes care of the people who matter to her. Through challenges, she figures out better and better ways to navigate the world, and she just keeps enduring because above all the nonsense, she can see the bigger picture of her life. It's full of so many triumphs and beauty and friendship. And the character on this cartoon show that just so happens to remind me so much of my sister is an animated cat named Princess Carolyn. So one night on vacation with our cousins when I was around 10 and Carolyn was around 13 or so, we ended up in a hotel room playing a game that was some variation on the truth part of Truth or Dare. There were questions written on cards, and we would go around and say our answers. One of the questions that we came up with was, if you could be anyone else in the world, who would you be? Everyone around me kind of hemmed and hawed, eventually landing on the name of some actress or fictional princess. My answer was immediate. I didn't have to think about it. Carolyn. It would be Carolyn. And my mom said, really? And I said, yes. And she said, why? As far as I could tell, my sister inherited the right family genetic jackpot. She got the relentless Puritan work ethic and effortless social graces of my dad. From my mom, she inherited an uncomplicated and purely true care for others, a knack for baking, and those infamous tight spiral curls that my thick mop of frizzy bullshit could never live up to. In my mind, the sun shined on Carolyn's face, even when it was cloudy. In the 5th grade, I told a classmate that my sister and I never fought, and he didn't believe me. He didn't get it at all. Why would you fight with your idol? But to be fair, he had every right not to believe me. Most siblings argue, and I am very grumpy. But guess what, Luke Philippi? I stand here today as a testament to Carolyn's impossible capacity for loveliness. Carolyn consistently bounced back my irritability with joy. She made me laugh, and more importantly, she laughed at my jokes. She flooded my shade with light when I needed it most. There she was, being sunshine again. When Carolyn turned 16 and started driving her brand new silver Mazda 3, which she aptly named Mr. Bingley from Pride and Prejudice, the best part of my day became when Carolyn started driving us to ballet while we blasted mix CDs of T.I. and Maroon 5. The worst thing that happened during this time was Carolyn getting a cell phone, meaning that on these drives, instead of talking to me, she could talk to her boyfriend, which, by the way, Mom, she did all the time. So, yeah. The one year we overlapped in high school, when I was a freshman and she was a senior, my favorite part of the day was finding Carolyn at her locker by the top of the stairs, more often than not in her infamous brown tweed coat and bright pink scarf, where we'd walk down to Mr. Bingley and drive home. For the next 3 years, when Carolyn left for Washington, D.C. for college, I looked for Carolyn at her locker at the top of the stairs. I spent most of my young life wanting to be Carolyn or be more like Carolyn. This summer, we went to horse camp together. My cabin went around on the last night saying what we all liked about each other. The girls got stuck on me until one girl finally landed on, well, we really like hanging out with your sister. Geez, Shelby, I agree. Carolyn got asked to every high school dance that Mounds View High School had to offer, and in her teenage through early 20 years, it seemed like every other week Carolyn was coming home or calling home, regaling us with a new tale of how another kind, good-looking gentleman had confessed his love to her. Meanwhile, I spent my weekends watching The Notebook on repeat with Tori Sharkey or alone. I mean, yeah, could I have worked on my social skills instead of hiding in my room writing gloomy poetry about my very tough life? Sure, but it would have been a lot easier if I could just be Carolyn. who, as it appeared to me, came out of the womb with light literally but not literally shining out of her face. There was a reason Jill, our older sister, and I always called her the golden child. As I got older, I realized what a fool's errand it was to try to be Carolyn. Not only am I my own person, blessed with my own specific set of skills and hair quirks, but also trying to be Carolyn is like trying to capture sunlight in a jar. You just can't do it. But all of these memories of my sister remind me that Carolyn can't be defined by some high school English simile or pop culture reference. As my favorite poet, Sarah Kay, says, "You are not made out of metaphors. You are a woman, skin and bones, veins and nerves, hair and sweat." Women contain multitudes, and Carolyn is so many things. She was a daughter first, a granddaughter, a goddaughter, a niece, a cousin, and a little sister. 3 years later, she became big sister to baby Catherine. Then she was a student, a dancer, a friend, a soccer player for like a second, a robotics team member, a Minnesota Wild fan, that girl who took private French lessons downtown, a people-to-people student ambassador, an oboe and very occasional woodblock player, an insane backyard pool party thrower, the prom date with the best dresses, the girlfriend with the boyfriends who made her mix CDs, the owner of a 2004 Mazda 3 with a 6 CD changer, an international studies major at AU with a scholarship, a badass law firm recruiter, a professional DC bruncher, a dog foster mama, a member of the Girl Mafia whose main group objective is to never miss a Beyonce concert, a Burning Man barterer, an 8 months at a time Southeast Asia backpacker, an MBA student, you know, the one who makes the decadent and meticulously decorated cakes just in her spare time, a blue dog mom, a soon-to-be MBA grad with a job starting later this year, and as of today, she's a wife. I always thought, as Carolyn pored over wedding magazines from the age of about 10, that whoever that somebody was who got to be her husband would be the luckiest person in the whole world. That person, thank God, is someone intelligent and talented, incredibly hardworking and empathetic, the fiercest board game player and wedding dance floor groover, and the best but dog dad. What I've always admired about Cody and Carolyn as a couple is how readily and eagerly they jump in to new experiences, to new cities, new apartments, new dogs. They are never not enthusiastically supporting each other in every way they know how. Now, as a pair, you get to grab hands, hold tight, and set off on the incredible adventure of figuring out how to be each other's grace. And Cody, you've been blessed with the unbelievable privilege of making sunshine shine brighter. It's not a task I recommend you take lightly. Because as a refresher, you get to marry the sun. You get to marry a princess. You get to marry Princess Carolyn. But as we already established, Carolyn is not limited by any literary device. Cody, you get to marry a woman and one of the best of them. The best daughter, the best friend, the best sister. You get to spend the rest of your life with the best wife. You get to marry Carolyn. So, let's all raise our glasses to Carolyn and Cody. I wish you both a lifetime of sunshine.
Give it up for Catherine one more time, yeah. For our next toast, can I please invite up the best man, Ethan Tucker, please? Hey. Yes, sir.
All right. Oh, almost lost the notes there. Just like everyone who's come up before me, I also want to begin just by thanking everyone here for being such a beautiful part of today and the ceremony, and also just for being here to celebrate this amazing couple, Cody and Carolyn, over here. I am incredibly honored to be Cody's best man and a part of this lovely wedding party in general, so thank you for that. I met Cody Thomas Snell during the first weeks of 6th grade. He was a new student, fresh from living in Japan, and at first sighting, Cody was the tallest and strongest kid in our class. I will say, I remember thinking he looked a little tough, and I was a little apprehensive. But luckily, after our friendship, even though it took a moment to pick up, we really did become true and fast friends. That friendship has blossomed and deepened through middle school open mic performances of songs like Free Falling by Tom Petty, which, if you ever get a chance to hear Cody sing, I definitely recommend you take him up on it. Other ones also like that 90s classic Save Tonight by Eagle Eye Cherry. I don't know if anyone knows that one, but it really brought us together. We shared many sleepovers at Cody's house where I wheezed through the entire night. And that's right, Cody, your friendship is worth all of my terrible cat allergies that I had as a kid. But again, 100% worth it. I suppose the last sort of piece of the puzzle of our friendship at the time in 6th grade was basketball. Just lots and lots of basketball. We played basketball everywhere, at school, at my house, and actually at Cody's house too, where I got the opportunity to meet his parents, Fran and Richard. I got to know his sister Coral a couple times when she was in town here and there. And just seeing them again this weekend, it really has reminded me of their generosity and how welcoming and kind they were to me when I was that age. I always felt really at home being at their house, and I truly appreciate that from all you guys. A few more highlights from my memory reel with Cody. We started a band. It was called either Up in Flames or Down in Flames, depending on which one of us you ask. We were, I think, fairly moody at that point in our teenage years. But hey, it was a good time. We performed a parody of Siegfried and Roy, replete with all of the sequin vests, a dog acting as a tiger. This was for our entire middle school, so it was quite a spectacle. We spent summers at the coast at my parents' house in Manzanita. We got into high school, also down at the Nescowan Valley School for an awesome thing called the Slab Creek Music Festival, where Free Falling really became a permanent part of Cody's repertoire as a singer. And so much fun as well. We even worked together for a summer at a dollar store, which there are many stories from that. Please come and talk to us after the speech, because I don't think many of them are appropriate for this particular setting. But again, I mean, our friendship just kept on deepening and deepening. And the best part of it for me through all of that is that we just laughed our butts off the entire time. I will say, I think, when I really look at our relationship, I ultimately define it as all those laughs that we have shared. We have spent countless hours joking and riffing on things. You really crack me up as a person, and I think we've developed what I consider a very beautiful and easy rapport with each other. And when we finally start our advertising agency, which we've been talking about for a long time, it's going to be called Fox Tucker, Fox for my middle name, and Thomas for his last name, so Fox Thomas Advertising. I think we'll have a good list of stuff to jump into. On a slightly more serious note, I definitely count you, Cody, as someone that I can come to with anything in my life, whether that is something joyful, something with struggle, and I know that I'll be met with honesty, understanding, and, if appropriate, levity as well. But it's a really, it's a hard connection to find out there in the world with someone who you really feel like you have that openness with, and yeah, I just feel like our friendship has really gotten to a place where I feel so comfortable with you that I hope you feel the same way. Let's see here. Sorry, I lost my place. I feel like you have always been very good at finding the crux of issues, and I mostly see that play out nowadays in your work. You are definitely a creative force, and your curiosity and drive have always really impressed me, especially in your professional endeavors. I don't know if you guys have seen any of Cody's pieces he's produced, or even some that he has starred in front of the camera from time to time, but the guy really gets after his story, so congratulations. I see a person who is passionate and inquisitive, living life to the fullest and enjoying every part of it. And it's really only logical that you would find a partner with a similar lust for life, for certain. The first time I met Carolyn, I'll be honest, I felt a bit of anxiety for her. Our, our friend group from high school in Portland is a pretty tight-knit crew, and in true Portland form, we definitely like to keep things weird. I don't know if you've heard that saying before, but it's true of our friend group. I remember being surprised and pleased that Carolyn really held her own with all the craziness and cacophony of the hangouts and friend groups. And I now realize I should never have worried. Caroline and Cody are adventurers and are up for any challenge. They have trekked the globe together. They have uprooted their lives many times over to support one another. To come full circle, the song that I sang earlier today has a line that goes, "I'd go to the end of the earth for you to make you feel my love." And when I look at you guys, I see that sentiment in practice, and it really warms my heart. It makes me, believe that there's a lot of love out there to find and get, and I'm so happy that you two have really come together. I feel like you both have really stretched for each other, and that effort has strengthened your bond and your love. I see that as a very amazing foundation for your lives together. You are both kind-hearted and good-natured people who make family and friends your priority. This is evidence of all that tonight, everyone gathered here. So I think we all can share the idea that we are so excited to see what comes next for you guys. I suppose I can say I can only imagine what the future holds for you, but I know it will be filled with love, support, laughter, and purpose. So with that, all of my love to you both. Please, let's raise a glass to this new lovely couple, Cody and Carolyn. Cheers.
Great speech, Ethan. Yeah. Give it up for Ethan one more time. At this time, I'd like to welcome the father of the bride, Scott Wright, to give his speech. Props, wow. Came prepared.
Thank you. All right. Who thinks this is one of the loveliest? No. The loveliest venue of a wedding that they've ever attended. Ever. Carolyn, stunning. Stunning. That's all I get? Stunning. I see you in the back. You were way too quiet. Cody, welcome to the family. I want to start with two thank yous. The first one, three thank yous. The first one is to the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority, MRCA. And as most of you know, this hillside all around us, 360 degrees, burned. This venue is almost gone. And on site all day, yesterday and today, Tony, if you haven't met him, he knows the history, he knows what movies have been filmed up here. He can tell you a lot about the land that we're on. And I'm very grateful to the people who work with that organization, preserve these open spaces through fire and the rebirth of this beautiful green that we're seeing that I think speaks of the hope and the love and just the beauty of the wedding and the celebration that we're taking part in. So thank you to them. My second thank you, as a former waiter who did bar rush and did all the grueling grind of serving people, whether they deserved respect or not, whether they tipped or not, to the bartenders, to Manuel, to all the people who have made this such a great event, flawless and fun and enjoyable. To our servers, thank you. You do great work and we appreciate it. My final thank you is to my wife, Pam. Thank you, John. my friend Dr. Bradway told the story of one of his friends who had failed to mention or thank his wife and on the Father of the Bride speech. And I forget where he's buried, but it was a long ride home for that man. But I'm serious, in terms of the Pam working to capture what Cody and Carolyn asked for, wanted, even what they didn't articulate, you found. You have such organizational skills, but it's your creativity and you know how to look forward to what people will want, and thank you. You do such a beautiful thing in supporting all of us. Thank you, Pam. A bit later this evening, Carolyn and I will have a traditional father and daughter dance. As the wedding has approached, it's made me think back to the first time I danced with Carolyn in front of a large group of people. When Carolyn was about 11 years old, I shared with Pam the feeling that I had that as the girls were getting older, I was losing touch with them. Pam suggested I get involved and do things with them, something that they enjoyed doing, to get on their level. For example, Pam reminded me, again, that Carolyn really wanted me to dance with her at the annual recital for her dance studio, something I had been resisting since Carolyn started dance at the age of 3. For years at the studio, a group of mostly overweight and entirely coordination-challenged men who dubbed themselves as the Dancing Dads had been taken to the stage with their daughters and a few sons for the final number of the studio's big spring recital held each year in a college auditorium. They always had a theme and funny costumes. The kids, of course, were splendid. The dads were, well, a bunch of guys. One year, the theme was the music of the Beach Boys, and the dads were dressed in Hawaiian shirts and sunglasses. Another year, they were all sporting tuxedos with a James Bond theme. All pretty tame. Okay, I thought, what could possibly go wrong with that? It would give Carolyn and me some time together, so I signed up. Upon arriving on the first night, they took measurements of all the men without saying what the costumes were for. Later, they told us the theme, popular music since the 1950s. That didn't seem so bad. The 70 or so men would be divided into 4 groups, representing the changes in rock and roll through the decades. So, as could be expected, one group would appear in Elvis costumes. That was balanced with the newest of the looks, with the music, and one group of guys to be dressed like the Backstreet Boys. Another group would be dressed as the Fab Four, dancing with their kids to the music of the Beatles. I was not chosen for any of those 3 groups. I should have known something was up. They had something more special waiting for me. Representing the late 1970s and early 1980s, the remaining group would personify the Village People. For 6 months of rehearsals, this would be my group, my people. I did not get cast as the cop, nor as the cowboy, and no, not the construction worker either. All those roles went to men who'd been in Dancing Dads before. Who knew that Dancing Dads were as cliquey and as cutthroat as a cross between Mean Girls and Survivor? And I was the new guy on the show. And our song, of course, was YMCA. But wait, there's more. There was the costume. Not just any costume, mind you, but a garment so blazingly white like driven snow, all in silky flowing satin. It was literally bedazzled with piercing sapphire blue sequins on the hems of my pants. my flowing top, complete with a neat sailor's scarf tied into a bow, also trimmed in sparkling blue sequins, all topped off with a little sailor hat, also trimmed in the twinkling sequins to match my white and blue sneakers. Believe me, none of the other dads gave me eye contact from the day costumes arrived. So I did what any man would do in that situation. A lot of moaning, a lot of complaining, layered on with a heavy dose of self-pity. Practice after practice, I'll be honest, I grumbled my way through the retching process of grown men attempting to learn simple movements across the floor, with the added insult of this entire visual abomination being reflected back at us in real time in the floor-to-ceiling studio mirrors. It went on like this through the dead of winter for what seemed like eternity. Finally, as the recital grew near, the kids joined us for the rehearsals, as they needed a fraction of the time to learn what we had been struggling with for months. Carolyn and I drove to and from the dance studio night after night. She smiled and laughed about me and the other dads, and we talked about stuff, about dance, about school, about things she wanted to do when she grew up. And then one night, quite out of the blue, she turned to me and said, "Dad, this is really fun. I'm glad you signed up to do this with me." Well, that was all it took. To a lot of people, yeah, I looked silly. I no longer cared. Once Carolyn said that to me, and I could tell how much she was enjoying sharing this experience together with me, I immediately had a newfound pride in my flowing, snow-white, silken, sequined ensemble. Carolyn was there by my side, dancing in a matchy-matchy sailor costume of her own, and I'm telling you, we killed it. From that point forward, there was no way I was going to let her down. So you're damn right. When that song called for a Y, my arms reached proudly to the sky. And every M, and every C, and every A, and every performance was danced like it meant something. Because it did. Because this girl, who I was dancing with, wanted me, more than anyone else, up there on the stage with her. And as the practices wrapped up and we went from performance to performance, I got to see more of life from her point of view, under the lights and in the drives home afterward. It was a good lesson, far more for me, I think, in what's important. And as I look out here tonight, and each of you has your own connection with Carolyn and with Cody, whether that was as individuals or as a couple or both, you're here tonight and you've traveled so far because they mean something to you. They are important to you. I marvel in what Cody does, like Ethan said. He researches and writes to produce news stories that are in-depth on things that matter, to help us understand complex issues so that we are better informed. He is funny, as we've heard, competitive, not unlike me. As this weekend proves, Cody has deep friendships that span many years, and people enjoy being with him. Most of all, my daughter, Carolyn, and he treats her kindly and lovingly. Carolyn is the embodiment of kindness. Ever since she was a child, she has awoken each day with innate happiness. She has the most positive sense of curiosity. From the age of 6 or 7, we would find her paging through atlases, writing down the names of countries, cities, and places around the world. She was making up stories, she said, of places she wanted to visit, people she wanted to meet, and things she wanted to experience. With all of you here on this hilltop tonight, with all of the places she and Cody have traveled, and all that Carolyn is setting out to do in her life, she is, quite literally, a woman who is fulfilling her childhood dreams. And above fame and fortune, Carolyn would always place the highest value on the bonds and friendships she has made with all of you. And so tonight, as I watch Carolyn, elegant, composed, confident, a source of joy to her family, classmates, and many friends, like Pam, I am very proud. But there is something further that I think makes this evening a bit easier for me as the father of the bride, something we experienced that has, over the years, given me great comfort as Carolyn has gotten older. I would like to believe there was a special gift that I was able to give to her that can truly last a lifetime. And it is my hope that in some small measure, it gives her comfort as well. Even if it's not said aloud, she knows. She knows she will always be my girl and that her dad would do anything for her. No matter what difficulty or challenge she and her sisters may ever face, I will be there. I hope she knows this to the depths of her heart. She can be certain of this. After all, I have the sailor costume hanging in my closet to prove it. So grab your glass and get on your feet. To Carolyn, to Cody, from all of us, because we would quite literally do anything for you. Cheers. Have a great time, everybody. There you go.